Hello and welcome back, or welcome for the first time, beautiful soul, to Permission to Follow Your Inner GPS, your inner guided purpose soul path. And we all have one, no matter what it is. And this beautiful lady, another change maker, Joy Idries, is with us today, and she is going to be helping us by sharing her journey as well. And she works with people who have a taste of conscious awakening and want to live each day with new freedom, purpose, and excitement, knowing exactly who they are, why they're here, and what they have an important contribution to make to the world. So please help me welcome this beautiful lady, Joy Idries. Hello, beautiful, and thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Terry. It's lovely to see you, lovely to meet, and lovely to be on your show.
Thank you. It's been a journey in a lot of ways, creating this and creating the platform for amazing change makers like you. Please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, I'm a change maker, and that's why I'm here on the show.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I'm somebody who's come through a lot of trauma and struggle and illness. First of all as a survivor, and then going on from that to connect with higher consciousness and learning to live with that in my life. So kind of moving to a place of awakened consciousness and applying it and embodying it in everyday life. And I think this is where I feel like I'm in my power now. What I want to share with people is, how they can actually embody, because you can hear about it and you can learn about it and you can listen to people, but it very much comes into the head, and maybe you think you can't do it, or, it's only for special people, or no. It's for everyone, and I'm here to spread that message for it's for everyone. And this is the time, I think, on this planet where there seems to be a movement towards awakened consciousness, and I want to be part of that and bringing it into the everyday life. So yeah,
It's so important because we do hear about it, we read about it, and it's like, okay, well, that person did it, but how is it really, how can we, those of us like you and me on this side of things, how do we make it more real or practical for others who haven't quite, and it's not that they can't put the pieces together, but how do they do that without it like, oh my goodness, it's too much? And that's where I feel that that's one of the things that you do, right?
Yes, it is indeed. It's about moving things from the mind to the heart. But to get to the heart, you need to go through your body. So it's a whole mind, body, heart thing. And when we bring our focus to the body, that stops it being so overwhelming, because we actually start to focus in rather than focusing on everything that's too much. We focus on how we're feeling, and the feeling will lead to a connection with the heart, with our soul wisdom, and we end up going on a dance with that. And wisdom knows exactly what you need to hear. Each individual person, the soul of that person, the wisdom of that person knows exactly how to put it across, how to connect with them, how to communicate in a way that that person can take it and becomes transformed by it as well. So this is, what I do. I work with inner journey work. We work with together, like using meditative techniques. It's a dynamic meditation. I'm sitting with a client, and we're both in this space of accessing presence and stillness, the gateway to that soul. And my clients have their eyes closed all the way through the process. We're there together for maybe 2-3 hours, and for them it feels like 5 minutes by the time they've gone through it. But because you lose all sense of time.
Hallelujah, because the conscious mind is free to disengage, which is so important.
Exactly. So, using techniques which help that disengagement and help that focusing in on communicating with the soul in its own special way, and releasing whatever's getting in the way of that and blocking that communication.
Yes. You mentioned, bringing it from just the intellectual or the mind piece where everything is like really huge. And that's so important for someone who is an empath or a very sensitive to energy. It's like, okay, how do I get it from here so that it's not so much and into the heart? And I love that that's what you helped your clients do. How did you get to that point for yourself, beautiful?
I had an amazing and miraculous experience. After many years of struggle and so on, I kind of repressed a lot of my experiences, but it came to a point when I was suffering from chronic fatigue. And it was like my body was saying, "You're not going anywhere, madam, until you sort this out." And I tried lots of things, I tried therapy and different alternative things, but I decided to go along to this particular weekend where they were doing this inner journey work, and I'd never heard of it before, but it was like my last ditch attempt. If this is not going to work, I'm just going to go and curl up in a corner and be catatonic or something, just I'm going to give up, which was my second best after suicide. I didn't want to commit suicide, so that, well, okay, I'm just going to be like a vegetable, that's enough for me. I went along to this weekend, and I'd had chronic fatigue for about 6 years or so. I'd had backache for about 20. I was depressed, so I was being tearful. And through this inner diving, I accessed a memory that I knew about, but I'd repressed and released it. It was a memory of being raped at the age of 14. And I came to completion about this. I just released it, said everything that needed to be said, found forgiveness and all of that. And I came out of that weekend completely free from chronic fatigue, absolutely free. And I found a sense of peace inside of me that has never left me since. And that was a major turning point for me. I was so wowed by this. How can I just I'm going in at the beginning of the weekend, almost having to be taken in by a wheelchair, could hardly move. And the next thing, I'm coming out at the end of the week and I'm dancing in the street, my 10-year-old son is saying, "Oh, I like the new mummy." Such a wonderful thing to hear,
Yes.
Because, being young and I wasn't able to engage with him, during his early years very well. And to come out feeling happy and joyful and full of energy, so much energy, like Tigger Tigger the tiger, such a big difference, that I trained in the method then after that, and decided I needed to share this with the world. This is accessible to everyone. And I've been building on that ever since, bringing in other things, other techniques, NLP and Reiki, just a whole mixture, developing my intuition. And this is, how I'm now serving the world.
I want to make sure our viewers hear, without focusing in on what is now no longer a part of you, I just want y'all to hear this. Chronic fatigue and back pain for long periods of time because she had repressed something that was incredibly not right. And I'm saying it that right. I'm not minimizing it in any way because I am mindful of not re-engaging this energy for anyone, re-imprinting it. You are more than a survivor, beautiful. You now thrive.
Yes, that's so true.
And I used to be, a long time ago, I was a victim of abuse. And then I became a survivor, and I wanted to not be a survivor anymore. I became a thriver. So I went from victim to survivor to thriver. Yes. People look at you and they see this beautiful soul and this amazing energy and go, wow, she's got it all together. Well, yes, maybe 90% of the time. And the other parts is it wasn't overnight. Well, the weekend was a miraculous event, and yet it had taken you years to get there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So even after the weekend, then how did you start evolving towards your now purpose?
I think when you have an awakening like that, or a taste of this awakening, it makes you thirsty for more. And so you go on this wonderful adventure of knowing that you can set about releasing all of the other blockages that are in the way You know, so it wasn't just the one thing. I thought, okay, well, I want to get rid of this, and I want to get rid of this, and I want to let go of that, let go of that, you know. And I spent 2 years of this inner journey work on myself twice a week, and it's very intense. I mean, one session of this is equal to about a year's therapy, psychotherapy. So you know, it's absolutely, you know, woof, in there. But I just wanted to clear everything. You know, I didn't want to leave anything behind. So it can take a lot of work. But however, it was an adventure at the same time, and every time it was like being fed, being nurtured, being nourished, given something, letting go of that and receiving something in return. You know, so it's, oh, magic, what treasure am I going to get next, you know? But it, you know, but the work was there. You know, I was releasing, my first husband tried to kill me. I'd had cancer. My mother had died, my father had died, my mother had abused me when I was young, physically. You know, so many things, this, you know, just a few. But to kind of release all of that, and like you know, I was a victim, I was a self-sacrificial martyr. In order to survive, I was working out what people wanted so that I would be accepted and safe, you know. And it gets into the pattern that I'd lost myself. I didn't know who I was, because I was this actress, the chameleon that was doing everything for everybody, you know.
Well, that's what we were taught to do in order to survive. We couldn't be who were we going to be anyway? We didn't know. We weren't wanted. And I think a lot of our viewers can resonate with that or relate to it, because when we have all of this other stuff, and okay, just a second. I'm being redirected just a little bit. That major piece that you were able to release, really release and get in touch with over that weekend, allowed the other stuff to come up. And the point about the chronic fatigue and other things that you were experiencing is it's the weight of all of that other people's stuff that we like to shift, and you can take out the F if you like, y'all. Okay, you shift the stuff because it all presses down and it lowers your vibration. It blocks your channels for whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. And if you've got all of this here, how are you supposed to figure out where to start first? You've got to start with that first piece. And you talked about the intense inner work that psychology or psychiatric whatever takes about 2 years, because they don't get down into the center of it. Exactly. Not poo-pooing it, but it just, if you want to really get to it, listen, I'm going to shut up now and listen more to Joy. But it's so important. I wanted y'all to get it. It's not just here. You've got to get inside.
Yeah. I think therapy is a bit like you go and you talk and it kind of rearranges the furniture. But this work, you completely declutter. There's no furniture left to rearrange.
You throw out the old furniture.
Yeah, so you've got this open space, and then it's open for new. It's open for excitement. I mean, one of the, you know, the best treasures I got from this kind of work is appreciation and gratitude. Because in comparison to what it was like, and now opening into this, it's like, wow, you can really appreciate, you know, where you are, you know, and you wouldn't appreciate that if you hadn't had that before. So the contrast made it all the more rich. So there's a whole blessing in all of that. You know, I don't regret what happened to me. I wouldn't change it. It's brought me to where I am, and I'm in this beautiful place of, you know, bliss and delight and curiosity and living in the present moment most of the time, not always. But
yeah, mostly in the present moment, because the conscious mind is like, oh, hello, remember this? And it goes, shh, quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
quiet. So it took you, well, I don't know if it didn't take you. You went through about a 2-year journey, and I realize you're still on it. But for the next 2 years after this, a miraculous transformation from within. 2 years, and then, so how did you decide that you were going to be actually helping others in a similar way?
Well, as soon as I had that miraculous transformation, that's when I made the decision that that's what I wanted it to do. And then I spent a couple of years training in that, and then I spent a couple of years releasing all the stuff in me so that I could be living proof, or so that I could be clear enough to be able to work with people in a way where I'm not getting in the way. And I've been doing that, you know, for over 15 years, 16 years now. So over that period of time, you're always learning something and opening to more, and I'm watching miracles happen. I love this. I love the work because my people transform so amazingly. I could do it 24/7. And developing my intuition as a decision, right? I'm going to develop my intuition and start learning how to communicate with that very subtle whispering voice that when we are crowded in our mind, we don't notice even, you know, because it takes stillness to listen to that. But if you practice and practice and practice listening to it and acting upon it, you know, because it's not just about listening, but actually putting things into action, it feeds back, and then it becomes something that's just there all the time. I automatically do it now because it becomes habit, doesn't it, after a while?
Yes.
And which really helps in the processing, because I can access things that people are not aware of the patterns that they're running, and just a little, you know, suggestion, or, you know, have you thought about this, or have you felt into this, or how does that feel, because I'm feeling that that's what they're struggling with, for example, and then it opens up something for them, and then they can start explore all of that, you know, which is really nice, really beautiful.
It's a matter of acknowledging and, like you say, practice. And so when whether it's out loud or in my head, I'm saying thank you. And I was looking for something earlier this morning. I said, okay, guys, so where did I put this? I know I put it in someplace close. And if you just don't fight it and say, well, I think I know where I put it, that's not what you asked, as an example. And then you say, oh, there it is. And then I say, thank you. Sometimes it's out loud, and sometimes it's just in my head, depending upon where I am.
Yeah.
And
I say, I know I'm going to find this. I know I'm going to be shown.
Exactly. And I just keep out of my own way and go with it. And, you know, you might dip down a little bit lower and say, oh, there it is. Because we were getting off a ladder, you don't need to dip down that low, but you did that moment. So it's so important for anyone and everyone to acknowledge those little nudges, or what some people call hits, because when you say thank you, then you get to notice them more. It's like anything else. When you appreciate a person, they go, oh, okay. And it's not about getting more, it's just about noticing it and being open to it. Is that fair?
Yes, of course, yeah. Something that's coming to mind that I want to share.
Please do.
It must be appropriate, because it's like, tell them this, you know.
Absolutely.
One of my inner journeys, I was grieving the loss of having children. I did have one boy, but 2 or 3 months after I had him, I was diagnosed with cancer. And so that was the end of it. You know, I had a hysterectomy, no more children. And I was actually grieving that loss, because I was looking forward to having a big family, you know, wanted a big family. And I went into this inner journey, and I found myself on a magic carpet, which is funny how the soul speaks, you know, because it speaks in metaphor and it draws your attention. Magic carpet? What's this? You know? There's your attention, got your attention. And on the magic carpet was a nest of eggs, birds, like a bird's nest, and with eggs in it, you know. And I was just observing this, because, you know, I think one of the ways of reaching that transformation is just to observe, and it just unfolds by itself, doesn't it? You know, I don't know if you experience that, but for me it works that way. So what developed was these eggs started to crack, and as they cracked, what I can describe as little bird angels, they flew up to heaven, and from heaven they spoke to me and they said, we are your children and we're waiting for you here. And it's instantly my grief finished, because I just got it. I haven't lost them. They're there waiting for me. It was so beautiful for me at that time. And just one metaphor like that can completely transform something in you. It's just absolutely amazing. And I've never grieved that since. So it's just...
That is such a beautiful story.
Mm.
Story is not quite the right word, and sometimes human language leaves a bit to be desired. And it is a story, and it's so much more than that, because when you're open, and you obviously were and still are, that can come through and then literally transform that and then lift that off of your physical earth journey, your physical heart, well, the physical energy of your heart, and opens up so much more. And these things that this beautiful lady is sharing with y'all helps you to know that you're not alone, or if you know someone who's been through similar types of circumstances. And I'm using my words carefully because we don't want to claim anything, especially if we're trying to let it go. There are things you do want to claim, but not these things, right?
Yeah.
What else would you like to share with our viewers, beautiful?
Oh, I've got many stories like that. One of them is coming up now to share, is in another inner journey. And I found myself metaphorically in a prison. So there's the bars, and I'm trying to reach out with my hands, and I'm trying to reach all the beauty that I can see. I can see the hills and the trees and the birds singing and the horses running around, and I want to, experience it and be with it. And I'm grieving. Oh, interesting. That I couldn't get out there. I couldn't connect with it. I'm in this prison that's holding me back, and I'm feeling very sorry for myself, And I said, "Help! I want to get out. Help!" And this is what was happening in the vision. And what happened was God got hold of me by the scruff of the neck, lifted me out, and plonked me down outside of the prison. And I went, "Oh, as easy as that, huh?"
As easy as that, once you get to the point where you're not having it anymore.
It's just, when he put me there, I realized that the prison was an illusion.
Yes.
It just completely dissolved this idea. I could not buy into the fact that I was in prison anymore. I just knew that connection was there. That's it. It's been done. Finished. Of course, as you say, there are things that lead up to that, and it's just the time for it to happen. Because I'd spent many years feeling like a bird caged in a prison, and I think a lot of people do.
Yes.
That you feel like you've got this beautiful song to sing or whatever, but you're caged. You're not free. So
and they don't realize all they have to do is open the door. That they are the key, not somebody else has it. Although that's what others would have us believe, that they have the key and they're going to keep you in that cage of one way or another.
Yeah.
What is a challenge that you faced and worked through in doing this work, meaning, your business piece, because obviously you do this for others, you're a coach or a mentor, and how did you transition from that miraculous experience that you worked up to for a long time, did your studies and your research, and how did you start to translate that into helping others and actually doing the work?
It's something that runs alongside another business that I run. I run an offline business in selling jewelry. I have a gold and silver and crystals jewelry shop. At the beginning, I didn't have that, actually. I mean, that is an expression of abundance for me, which I didn't have at the beginning. So I had this mission and this vision of sharing these experiences and gifts with the world. But when you're stuck in circumstances that you've built, so it takes time to get out of those. You've created this spiral of situations, and you can't just say, okay, I'm out. Well, I didn't feel that I could, because you're earning your bread and butter, for example. I was running a business alongside my husband. We were running 2 businesses. Now we're running 4. Besides my online and client work. So it's something that developed over time, and I continued to study things, like developing new skills and understanding myself more. And I've almost finished writing my book now, so developing that, writing the book bit by bit. I was working mainly offline. I started to do talks and take clients privately and run little workshops. So I would do some workshops. But it's only in this last year that I decided I wanted to go much bigger. I feel ready now. So, I decided to go online. Online and offline. I have run 2 retreats since I made this decision. So obviously it's expanding that way. And I'm taking clients online. I use, Zoom like we're using today. But I'm seeing it's going to be taking off in an even bigger way this coming year. My 2019 vision is for something much bigger. As I expand, do more guest interviews and speak on stage, and my book will be out. So is that what you're asking me?
Yes. Because you're transitioning into it.
Yes,
now. You've already started, but you're transitioning into it. So, and that's not something that's always easy to do when you're working in another business and you've got a lot of other things going on. So how do you also incorporate or bring in this healing work that you're supposed to be doing? And I don't mean like supposed to, like you're a kid and you can't do anything else, but this is your soul's purpose.
I open to being guided to whatever is I'm being called to. And for some reason, I've been called to stay in my shop for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I just surrender to what is, because I know that when you're in this place of awakened consciousness, you're practicing living in it in every moment, in the present moment. So in a way, it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside. It's all about what's happening on the inside. And so I'm not saying to myself, I have to make this vision work and I have to reach 1 million people or whatever. It's all in the hands of the divine as far as I'm concerned. And the timing is up to the divine. I think previously I would have been, in my old self would be like struggling, why hasn't it worked yet? And keep trying and it's not working and banging my head against a brick wall. I can recognize those patterns in me in the past. But now it's like, I've got an opportunity each day to live from love. So with my customers, I live from love. I'm not running the shop in order just to make money or something, And I've surrounded myself with beautiful things, the rocks and the gemstones and the crystals and the jewelry, beautiful, unique, bespoke jewelry, not just, your regular off the factory kind of stuff. So, it's so nice to be living in that environment of it and to appreciate the abundance that's come. In the past, I lived in a very from poverty consciousness, because I was brought up in poverty and struggle. So, I would be running a business, if you can call it a business, where we were, earning very little money in a market, in a stall that was open to the elements and wrapped up in 5 layers of clothing when it snowed, to a place now where, I'm earning much, much, much more than that. And in a warm place and with real silver and real gold, not just tat and silly fashion jewelry, which I started with. And it's brought more opportunities. It's meant that I can invest in running retreats, for example, which I could never have done before. So things are just going along at a nice pace, and I'm not focused on the outside so much. I'm focused on how can I surrender more deeply, and how can I show people how to surrender more deeply in their lives. And it brings inner changes. One of my clients, I was helping her to develop this surrender, to deepen her conscious awakening. And she works in a multinational corporation. She was so passionate about what she'd experienced. And we did work for her mother too, and her mother miraculously changed. But for her, she wanted to take it into the corporation. And she set up a position for herself specifically to bring mindfulness to this, a corporation that is very nerdy, that wouldn't normally be into this kind of thing, you know. And it's just lovely to see that branch out. She's been teaching it internationally. She's attended mindfulness summit as a speaker, and you know, it's like, wow, what a turnaround for this lady who was in victim mode. She was in tears most of the time. She was dealing with an abusive husband. She was being bullied at work. She was having problems with her children. All of that's changed completely. Wonderful relationship with her husband and her children. Great sense of self-confidence and, you know, surety. Listening to herself from within and following guidance that comes through. Setting up meditation for everybody else and mindfulness. Absolutely amazing. You know, so for me, I don't know if I'm thinking, I'm happy to develop my business into something that's very big, but it's already happening through the people that I'm working with. You know, she can take it very far, and the benefit is for me too, because I kind of started that. It was a fruit from the tree, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's happening that way, you know. It doesn't
That
always happen.
sounds marvelous. So how can our viewers find you?
Okay, well, I have a website called trulytransformational.co.uk.
Trulytransformational.co.uk?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have a Facebook group called the same, Truly Transformational.
So that's trulytransformational.co.uk.
Yes.
And Facebook is Truly Transformational. That's a Facebook group.
Facebook group.
Thank
and if
you.
you come to the Facebook group, there is an opportunity to have some freebies there as well. So
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your message, your journey with all of us.
I've really enjoyed it. I could talk all night.
I think we probably could. Maybe we'll work something out for another time.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, beautiful soul, for joining us again. Please do rate, review, and subscribe. And also pop over to angeldreamteam.com and get a freebie there. Become a mover and shaker of your reality. Thank you for joining us now or in the future. And be sure to follow your inner GPS. Bye-bye for now, beautiful soul.